Oh, dear me.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss Mina and the Slayers by Amy McCall.
Standard disclaimer. If you haven't read this book, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read it and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read the book, then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up. Yay!
I'm very excited. We're both dressed up as vampires this week.
We are. We're very handsome this week. And you know what is even more exciting is that we're going to talk to Amy about this.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what our costumes are.
Ah!
It's fantastic.
But to be fair, I mean, we're not just randomly dressing up as Gary Oldman Dracula and Lestat
No.
just because they're vampires and the kick-ass.
They have
They
a
are
deep meaning.
They are in Mina and the Slayers. One of the characters does dress up as both of these at some point.
Yes.
So it's very important.
This is true meaning here. Also, this Dracula is what I dressed up as when we talked about the first book in this set. Mina and the Undead. Go backwards in time and check that one out. It was really great, but it's one of my most favorite things that I've ever done. Hiding around Seattle,
so handsome.
peeking out from behind things and saying, "See me."
It's one of the funniest videos you ever sent me. I got everybody be very jealous. I got all of the outtakes as well. I had minutes of footage, and I watched that for months.
And you're gonna watch it for months again because I kept sending them to you earlier.
Yes, I'm gonna watch it again. Oh,
just need to reshare them. We need to share them over again.
Yes, definitely. But if you want to see what we're dressed as now, you have to join our Patreon.
You do have to join our Patreon.
October's different.
Is October different? Oh, we're going to share all of them.
Or treat.
We're going to share all of them. I'm glad you said that. I forgot about our plans.
It's Halloween month. We're going to give everybody a wonderful treat.
Yes. So that's great. We've got all this extra bonus crap that I definitely need to edit out, but I'm not gonna. And you get to see it all. Good stuff. Don't worry, everyone. The audio will be edited, so it's fantastic.
Well, we've talked about the background info to the first recording. Let's talk about the background info to this book, Mina and the Slayers.
Well, I found a really great quote that doesn't necessarily go along with Mina and the Slayers specifically, but it was part of an interview that came out before this book came out very recently. And it's from bigbeardedbookseller.com. And they ask Amy, what books can you not resist buying? And I had to choose this one, because almost all of these authors that she mentions that she loves are friends of the show. And then there's a very good line. So here it is. I tend to be steered by authors I love, and there are plenty where I pre-order their books without question, which is exactly what we do. Cynthia Murphy, friend of the show. Kat Ellis, friend of the show. Catherine Foxfield, not yet, but probably one day in the future.
Very much so.
Kurtikich.
Of course.
And Sue Wallman, which I looked at some of her books too, and yeah, we need to get on.
Are they in our 2023 schedule already?
They have to be.
Okay.
So that's just a few of them. And then she also says, I also struggle to resist vampire books for any age of reader, from picture books to adult. And if that isn't just Fictional Hangover's life philosophy, I don't know what is.
Well, I mean, you saw the book that I literally bought yesterday, the Dracula cookbook.
Yes. Which what even is in that?
Lots of beetroot.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Do you have initial thoughts?
Squee, but also we're in the acknowledgements.
It's the coolest thing ever. Our actual names. I was thinking it's just going to be fictional hangover, which also would have been fine with, but it's our actual real names.
And they're spelled correctly.
And they're in the acknowledgements.
You are number 2. I am number 3.
I know. It's
Well, it feels like top
amazing.
billing, doesn't it?
I know. It's fantastic. We're the coolest people ever because Amy McCaw is one of the coolest people ever, and
True.
that's all there
Very
is to
true.
it. That's all there is to it.
There is something else, but we'll get to that.
Oh, really? What is it? What is it?
You
What
already
is it?
know. I sent you the page number, but we'll get to
Oh,
it.
yes, of course. Yes, of course.
How could you forget it? It's your long memory as a Dracula.
Yes.
It's
As
just messed
a
up.
Dracula,
As a Dracula.
most importantly.
Bart Ullman Dracula.
Oh my God. All right. It's Mina's favorite time of year, and she cannot wait. Halloween is only a few days away, and school has officially finished for fall break. She'll be spending her week off with her new best friend, Nat, her sister Libby and her girlfriend Della, her vampire boyfriend Jared, and Detective Cafferty while gaining work experience. Mina met the detective and his partner, Boudreaux, at the beginning of summer during FangFest when they arrested Libby for a series of murders. Spoiler alert for book 1 if you haven't gone back to listen to our episode about it, or, read the book. Libby wasn't responsible, and she was being framed by evil vampire John Carter, who thought his murderous plot would draw Mina and Libby's mom, his ex-girlfriend, out of hiding. It did not work. John was killed by his brother Wayne, also a vampire and now known as Armand, who he had been mind controlling during this whole thing, but not before turning Mina's boyfriend Jared into a vampire. John's cohort, Veronica, sadly escaped, but not before killing Sandy, a very nice vampire and owner of Mansion of the Macabre, where the girls work. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Back to the start of fall break.
At the school entrance is Nat's older brother Will, who is home from college. He is super hot and he rides a motorcycle and is waiting for Nat outside school. Nat, however, has shopping for Mina to do, so she sends him over to harass their younger brother Sam. The BFFs walk to Fanged Friends, a fantastic little boutique, and Nat tells Mina about the recent murder of Laurel Jenkins. She was stabbed multiple times, and the police haven't caught the guy who did it yet. In Fanged Friends, Mina and Nat shop for Halloween-themed sweets and goth goodies. While Nat burns through her money on a cute Wednesday Addams dress, Mina chats with the shop owner, Emmeline. They had a mutual friend, Andy, so Emmeline knows about vampires. When Sandy died, Libby inherited the mansion, but is struggling to make it a success it was with Sandy. Emmeline has some letters from Sandy, which may help Libby and put their minds at ease. In them, Mina reads about Sandy's vampiric power, which was the ability to control emotions.
After leaving Nat to go to work, Mina meets up with Libby and Della to go on Jared's first ghost tour. The girls loiter at the back, and Mina watches a man furiously scribbling in a book the whole tour. Jared is a natural storyteller, and the group hangs on his every word about the ghosts and legends of New Orleans, including Lala Ray and Count Saint-Germain.
I can never say his name without it being sounding silly.
I know, you had Count Saint-Germain. Is that better?
Count Saint-Germain, y'all.
Excuse me. As they walk to the final location of the tour, the scribbling man hands 4 thick envelopes to Jared before leaving. The man works for Claude Sejour, and for the price of telling a few ghost stories, Jared has secured them invitations to the Orchard Estate Ball, the most exclusive Halloween event in New Orleans.
The excitement of the ball invitations is cut short at the last location, the apartment of John and Wayne Carter, whose legend isn't fiction for Jared, Mina, Libby, and Della. As Jared is wrapping up the story, a real vampire approaches the group with her fangs out and blood dripping around her mouth. She pounces Mina, but Mina fights back thanks to a few maneuvers Della taught her before fleeing with her friends. The tour group thinks it's an exciting staged ending to the evening, even Jared's anguished yell.
Oh. Wouldn't that be a great tour, though?
Oh, completely.
I mean, it's a perfect ending. You're like, well,
Yeah.
shit, I'm done telling the story now, and all these people are still standing here. Ah,
It's the
fire.
easiest way to know out of the situation, isn't it?
Really, really. Della runs toward Jared with Mina and Libby staying back. Soon, Della and Jared join them and notice the arm of his shirt is torn and bloody from where the rabid vampire tried to bite him. Deciding that attempting to find the vampire's first victim is fruitless, they decide to head to the movies, stopping at Jared's apartment on the way so he can change. Waiting outside is Armand, who needs Jared for something, so off they go. Jared, still in his bloody, ripped shirt. Let him change clothes. Oh my god. Meanwhile, Mina, Libby, and Della hit Blockbuster Video before heading home, no longer in the mood for the movie theater. Because, hey, if you don't remember, this is set in 1995, everyone.
I miss Blockbuster.
I know. I know.
Tessa, the roommate who has been visiting parents all summer and missed all the vampire shenanigans around FanFest, is home again. She's heading out to a study group, so doesn't stay to watch California. Once the credits roll, Mina heads back to her room and, unable to sleep, sorts through a box of Thandy's things. Amongst the junk is a dictaphone dated the day of her death, but unfortunately the buttons are stuck, so Mina can't listen to it. Still wired, she heads into the kitchen for some water and bumps into Della, who is fully dressed for work. Apparently, Armand called her in. Strange. The bar should be closed at this hour.
Huh.
Hmm.
The next morning at breakfast, Mina reads the newspaper and finds that vicious and sometimes fatal vampire attacks are on the rise. Mina knows what they really are, vampire attacks, and wonders if Detective Cafferty is assigned to those cases. She'll find out soon, as today is her first day of work experience. At the station, Cafferty hands Mina a pile of paperwork to fill out, including non disclosure agreements and liability information. Cafferty isn't working the animal attacks, but he is assigned to the murder of Laurel Jenkins, and there has been a second victim, Carl Landry. Both victims were stabbed 9 times. As they are en route to an interview with a witness, Cafferty receives a call about a potential third victim in the park.
Ooh. Heading over, Cafferty orders Mina to stay in the car while he examines the active crime scene. But of course, Mina disregards his order.
Of course.
What part of active crime scene do you not understand, Mina? Moving around to get a better view inside the police tent, Mina sees the body and notices a lot of flies buzzing around it. When Cafferty quizzes her in the car about her thoughts, Mina points out that the body has been decomposing. Cafferty confirms this, not a complete impossibility in New Orleans climate, but certainly a strange and noteworthy observation. He also tells her that the victim was stabbed once through the heart, so is likely not linked to the other murders. Mina doesn't let Cafferty know that the victim is a vampire. Mina then spots Della in a car with an unfamiliar girl speeding from the scene. Ooh. Suspicious activity is suspicious.
So suspicious. The afternoon is full of paperwork for the vampire victim, and while doing some photocopying, Mina finds a stack of cinema tickets from the victim's pocket. Wanting to investigate further, Mina suggests to Libby and the gang that they go to Crescent Screens Theater. Before Mina leaves, Cafferty shows Mina the birthday present he got for his little sister Carly, a signed and dedicated first edition interview with a vampire. Major brother points.
But
That
of
is
course.
amazing. The coolest birthday present ever.
Heading to the mall, Mina runs into Sam at the bookstore and then Will in Radio Shack. Will works there and he leaves Sandy's dictaphone with him to be fixed before heading to Crescent Screens. The theatre is amazing. It's nothing like the cinema chains. They get tickets for Mall Rats and head to the concession stand where they are served by a vampire. In the auditorium, Mina updates Jared in a quiet whisper, but the dead vampire. Mina updates Jared in a quiet whisper about the dead vampire and why she picked this cinema. Jared tells her there is a vampire feeding on someone in the back row.
Ooh. Jared goes to have a word with the couple and learns that the biting is consensual, but he tells them to leave. Speaking to the concession vampire, it turns out he has a deal with some local vampires. It's all above board, but that doesn't stop Della from rolling her eyes and tutting. Mina then tells them the real reason for picking that movie theater. Ugh, Mina, can they just have one night without investigating a murder, please? Nope.
No.
When they get home, Mina asks Della if it was her she saw in the car at the park. With an abrupt nope, Della walks off. Lies. Later, Mina sees Della sneaking out and decides to follow.
Well, Mina isn't particularly stealthy, and Della calls her out. Della has been sneaking out to a Vampire Slayer Club, where the first rule about Vampire Slayer Club is you don't talk about Vampire Slayer Club. Inside, Mina meets the head slayer Rosario, who is nice. Taz, the girl in Della's car, who is lovely. And Paige, who is a bitch. Tonight, they have special visitors. They've got veteran slayers from the Vampire Surge in the 70s, Monique and Jacqueline, who is Della's aunt. Jacqueline confirms Della's mom was killed by a vampire. We totally called that in the first one.
Yeah, we did. We definitely did.
And by the fang wound, it was female. Della asks if Mina would like to join them, and she says she'll think about it, as it's a lot to process and it feels like a morally grey area.
Yeah, you're dating a vampire. What are you thinking?
But Della, she loves it. Armand had a vision of her with the Slayers in St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, and she stalked out, no pun intended, the place until the vampires turned up. Well, slaying is in her blood.
You said stalked out. You gotta say staked out if you're calling it a pun.
That's true. To be fair, my teeth are making me...
No, you do not blame your fangs. They're a part of you.
The baby fangs.
They are a part of you.
They're a part of me. Armand had a vision of her with the Slayers in St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, and she staked out, no pun intended, the place until the vampires turned up. Slaying is, after all, in her blood.
The next day, Nat and Will come to put up Halloween decorations at Mina's house. Will and Mina talk about movies, and it's really nice. Mina yearns for this comfortable togetherness with Jared that stopped after he, turned into a vampire. Later, Nat and Mina head to the mansion to help with the last walkthrough of the new Candyman room before the opening. Oh my god. The Candyman room is the best thing ever, and I want to go there so bad. Excuse me for my slight fangirling. When they get there, they see Libby surrounded by open bear traps. It's actually the bear trap chandelier, which takes shape as Libby hoists it up. The Candyman experience is amazing, and Jason as Candyman is spot on. Mina lets Nat out before the mansion opens up and spots Cafferty with his sister Carly waiting to come in. I want to go there. I want to go to the Candyman room so bad.
Mina changes into her Claudia costume and heads to the interview with a vampire room where Jared as Lestat is waiting. Mina tries to address the fanged elephant in the room, Jared's feeding. She wants to help him out of curiosity, intimacy, and jealousy, but Jared doesn't want to cross that line with her. The first tour group comes in with Cafferty and Carly ending their conversation. At the end of the night, Mina changes out of her costume and finds a note in her bag. Have you forgotten Fangfest? I haven't. Probably not as perky
Probably not.
in the threatening scroll. Has it been left as a cruel joke, or was it meant for someone else? Mina hides the note in her bag before Jared walks her home to find her mum waiting on the doorstep. Ooh, the mysterious mum's back.
Mina doesn't have much time for the woman who abandoned her children in favor of her vampire obsession. And though she and Libby do try to build some kind of relationship with her, their mom is flaky and unreliable. Mina points out that right now isn't the best time, and they agree to meet later. Alone, Mina can't relax about the blood drinking issue with Jared and calls Armand, who comes over instead of answering questions over the phone. Just after his arrival, Armand has a vision of Mina in a red and green sweater, but the image is unclear. Perhaps Libby will let Mina star in the Nightmare on Elm Street scene at the mansion, which is also awesome. Why isn't this mansion real and why can't I be there always?
I'm sure I've seen somewhere in the UK that does this, and not a Madame Tussauds. It is ringing bells.
I just want to be there.
You have to start your own.
I should. Then I can always be a scare actor, which is my new favorite pastime that I haven't actually started yet.
Soon.
But it's coming.
Soon people will see you. Anywho, to answer Mina's questions about feeding, Armand takes her to the Underground, a vampire blood bar. Together they watch a feeding in the observation booth. It's between two men and is consensual, though it is more transactionary for the vampire, whereas the human seemed equal parts pained and pleasured by the experience. Armand asks if Mina understands, and she says she does. But does she really?
Do you really?
Does she?
Do you get it?
I will admit skepticism. As they leave, Mina runs into Carly. Carly is visiting a lifestyler, not an actual vampire at the bar, so she doesn't know the undead are real. Mina tries to warn Carly about going to the Underground and says that it's a slippery slope and she could get hurt, but Carly isn't interested in her warnings. On the walk home, and at Mina's request, Armand tells her the part he played in John's scheme. Thankfully, he did nothing violent. That all seemed to be Veronica.
Oh, fucking Veronica.
Bloody bitch.
Back at home, Tessa is there and making cookies. Tessa used to date Jared, so Mina has always felt a little uncomfortable around her, but they have a civil conversation, which helps Mina relax around her. Also, cookies.
It's the important thing.
The cookies are there. They're important cookies. On her way back to her room, Mina spots a note that has been slid through the flap at the front door. This one says, "Tick-tock, ready to come clean." Outside the door, there is a shadow, but before Mina gets the courage to open the door, the shadow disappears. As Mina is getting ready for bed, Della pops in and asks if Mina wants to go patrolling with her and Rosario. She agrees.
They head to a crypt in an old cemetery from the Veteran Slayers list of hotspots in the 70s. The crypt smells of death, which doesn't put off vampires from living there, as they find 4 sleeping bags. They are attacked by 3 vampires and manage to slay them. Mina nearly killed one, but she missed the heart, and Rosario had to finish it off. As they run through the graveyard, the 4th vampire approaches. Della and Rosario go on the attack, but the female vampire is visibly upset at the death of her friends. As she hasn't moved to fight them, Della keeps her restrained as Rosario questions her about the surge in vampires. Mina can see the vampire is distressed and tells her to go to the Empire of the Dead, where she will find a man who will help her. To repay Mina's kindness, the vampire tells them To repay Mina's kindness, the vampire tells him a man is building his ranks, but she didn't stick around to find out more about his plans. She also reveals that though she doesn't know her sire's name, he was a short guy with a really bad haircut. Rosario congratulates Mina on handling herself well and getting the vampire to talk and asks her to become a member of the Slayers. Mina will think about it.
Later, reading another of Thandy's letters, Mina sees that Thandy not only felt trapped by John Carter, but the Slayers patrolling New Orleans. The next morning, Mina tells Libby and Della about the notes before heading to the police station. Cafferty tells her there's been another murder and they need to go and speak to the victim's mom. After the interview, they search his bedroom and find a red token for the underground. As they're leaving, a neighbor approaches with information. He said he saw someone sneaking around the property wearing a mask and agrees to speak to a sketch artist.
At the end of the day, Cafferty offers to drop Mina off to get ready for the ball, but before they leave, he gets a call from Carly, who's on a bad date and needs picking up ASAP. They head to the pool hall, which is closed, but can see Carly inside being attacked by a vampire. Cafferty heads through the back door, gun drawn, and Mina follows. Seeing it's a vampire and knowing that bullets will do nothing, Mina shouts to kill them like in the movies. So Cafferty breaks a pool cue and uses it to stake the vampire.
Yes.
Mina calls Della to get the Slayers to deal with the body of the vampire before they take Carly, who was badly bitten, to the hospital. While they say it was an animal attack, Mina tells Cafferty everything. Everything.
That was a really, excuse me, that was a really badass scene.
Oh, yeah.
Cafferty just picking up the pool cue and like
Mina picks up the chair and
picks up a
can't do
chair.
anything with it.
She tries to smash it against the wall and nothing happens. And Cafferty's like, snap.
When she picked up the chair, were you like, pool cue, Mina? Pool cue.
You're in a pool hall. Come on. It's already a pointy wooden stick. It's just a really long one. While another officer, is that, I remember it being with an S at the end, but it was spelled Dupree in the text, and I meant to look it up and I didn't, but I have the book right here. This is why I wish that there was a search function in the paper book.
I like how you're forcing everybody to watch this.
It is with an S. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to double check. There's nothing wrong with me forcing everyone to watch Dracula read a book, okay? And sing about it whilst doing so.
Advertising.
Hold on. Ooh, my shades look great. Little bit of a pose so I can cut that out later. This is what happens when we record Fictional Hangover. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
We goof off 90% of the time. While another officer, Officer Dupress, offers and then I forget how to read. While another officer, Officer Dupress, drives Mina home, she reads another of Thandy's letters, which mentions a vampire prying into her business and her power, and mentions she doesn't want to be caged any more than she already is. At home, Della asks about the attack, but Libby interrupts and wants to know why they're talking about vampire slayers.
Caught!
Libby is not pleased with the fact that her girlfriend and her sister are slaying vampires and points out that Jared, vampire, won't be happy either. However, it's time to get ready for the ball. Tessa, who will be joining them, is Catwoman. Libby and Della are Jareth and Sarah from the Labyrinth, which is fantastic.
Love it.
And Mina and Jared are Mina Harker and Dracula from the Gary Oldman version. See me. Mina tries to talk to Jared about the Slayers, but she doesn't explain very well, and he's disgusted and angry. As well he should be, as a vampire.
An actual vampire.
An actual vampire.
The mansion hosting the ball is impressive. While Jared goes to tell his ghost stories to the attendees, Mina, Libby, Della, and Tessa party. After a while, Jared rejoins them and the dancing begins. Their host, Claude Sejour, takes to the stage to give a short speech before singing the final song, People Are Strange. After a short break, with people coming and going, the DJ set kicks in and the group tear up the dance floor. Eventually, needing to pee, Mina ducks out, but is sent in the wrong direction to a private suite where Veronica is waiting to tease and taunt her. For now, Veronica will let her go, but she will kill Mina soon. That's a promise. Back in the main room, the crowd has swollen with new attendees of the fanged variety. Fighting through the crowd, Mina joins her friends and they hurry to leave. Tessa doesn't want to stop partying, so she hops out of their taxi early. Della and Mina will go on patrol and head straight to Della's house to change. Mina, looking at Della's family photos, spots Emmeline in one of them and offers to introduce Della to her. But for now, it's time to head out.
Did Mina ever get to go to the bathroom? I've been worried about her.
I don't remember. I think she went to Della's. Or she just peed her pants.
I mean, probably.
Which is an option when Veronica's threatening you.
Right. Really. I was worried. Because she was like, I don't really have to pee. And then she didn't get to pee.
This is how you get infection. Do yourself damage.
UTIs all over the place. And you get a UTI. And you get a UTI. They meet with Taz at the most creepy as fuck clown museum ever.
Yeah.
To make it even more unpleasant, it was hit by a flood, so it's dangerous and unstable, and the water has affected the wax statues in gruesome and just dreadful ways. Picking their way through, the Slayers find a group of people higher in the building and, spying on them, see a business-looking female vampire address bro vampires, one of whom works at Crescent Screens. Boss Vampire mentions the attack on Halloween, which is in 2 days, and how they need to keep out of it because they have a good thing going at the movies with willing donors. Unfortunately, she hears the clown honk Taz accidentally makes. And then she sends the bro vampires after them, but the Slayers get away. At home, Mina tells Jared it was an information gathering trip and no vampires were harmed. Things are still tense between them.
I wonder why.
The next day, vampire.
The next day, Della offers to take Mina to the police station, but on their way, they stop by fanged friends to meet Emmeline. Emmeline knew Della's mom and that she was a slayer. She also knows which vampire killed her. Veronica. Ooh.
No one is shocked by this.
No. Cafferty is waiting for Mina at the station with the evidence from the fourth victim to look at. Inside a coin purse, Mina finds a red token for the underground, so it looks like it's time to pay the club a visit. But Mina must stay in the car, otherwise she's compromising the investigation. Ugh, fine.
Stay in the car this time. Oh my god.
They drive over and find the club is on fire.
Damn
it. Cafferty talks to the fire chief while Mina stays in the car, who says it looks like arson. Dejected at losing a prime lead, they head back to the station for an afternoon of paperwork. Shortly before Mina leaves, the sketch artist sends a fax with the picture of the person the neighbour saw. Kids, if you don't know what a fax is, Google it. It's obviously a mask, but no horror movie mask. It's obviously a mask, but no horror movie mask Mina is familiar with. So it's something they'll have to investigate the next day. Which I like to think is just watching horror movies.
Of course, that's how you research.
Go to Blockbuster.
Yeah. At least go to Blockbuster and browse covers. I really liked this scene in that they had to wait on the dot matrix fax machine printout to just And they're just staring at the paper as it comes out one line by line.
Takes absolutely
It
forever.
does. Oh, the good old days.
Or you could get a fax before heading to Blockbuster.
Yes. No one is home when Mina gets there, but as soon as the sun goes down, Jared arrives. He's obviously hungry, and Mina makes the decision to feed him her blood. With some reluctance, Jared agrees and bites her in a discreet location on her arm. Is it really discreet, though? It's right in her open elbow.
It depends what clothes you wear. She might be a 3/4 sleeve girl.
She could be, or she just always has her arm like this.
She's just constant hoodies. I mean, it's you're getting to October. I suppose October in New Orleans is still cold. Warm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so fucking hot all the time.
I don't know. I would have said the armpit would have been a better area, but what do I know? I'm only
No,
a
my
vampire.
friends. The thigh would be the optimal location.
Not at the moment, because their relationship isn't that far along yet.
It needs to get there. I'm just saying.
Oh, it'll get there. It needs to.
The feeding goes well, and they both feel better for it. They have regained a level of intimacy. Would have been even greater with the thigh bite.
I'm just going to wiggle my eyebrows in a suggestive manner. Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, let's get serious. They've regained a level of intimacy that they haven't had since Jared's turning, but agree to keep it between themselves for now. Eventually, the others arrive home, and they get ready to go out to dinner at Armand's restaurant, 9 Steps to Hell, based on Dante's Inferno, before heading to a carnival.
I'm still trying to wait for us to be serious.
It was really hard for me to continue reading with you going,
Anywho, their server at the restaurant is the vampire Mina, saved from the other night at the crypt. She seems happy with her situation and grateful to Mina. When Mina explores the Dante exhibit Armand has set up, she sees a figure looking at her and backs away in fear. It's the killer! Ah! It's not.
Oh.
No, it's actually a statue wearing Dante's death mask.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we don't have
Mina
to go to
uses...
Blockbuster anymore?
No. I mean, you still can. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mina uses Armand's phone to let Kathleen know she's solved that mystery. Afterward, she bumps into Will and extends an invitation to the siblings to join them at the carnival. During their meal, Claude Sajo enters with his entourage, and after a moment beckons Jared over, and Mina goes with him. Armand describes Claude Sajo as the New Orleans king of the vampires, whose real name is, drumroll please, Saint Germain. Saint Germain, y'all.
Saint Germain.
Saint Germain.
Saint Germain.
Saint Germain. Say it however you'd like.
Saint
So many
Germain.
varieties. Saint Germain.
Germain. Use the general American R's. Saint Germain.
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 And he wants answers about the surge in vampires and has Veronica investigating, but finding nothing, while Armand is too busy dealing with his inherited businesses to help. Turning to Jared, Saint Germain. Turning to Jared, Saint Germain asks what his powers are, and answering honestly, Jared tells him he has none. Mina thinks this is the man who collects powers from Thandy's letters.
After dinner, they head to the carnival and meet up with Nat and her brothers and Jason. They have a great time until the girls go on the carousel and a group of vampires follows them.
Dang it!
One tries to bite Mina, which Della promptly puts a stop to. While Will and Jason head for a beer and Tessa goes in search of junk food, the others head to the haunted house, but get separated in the mirror maze. Some of the mirrors are two-way, and Mina can see one of the vampires from the carousel stalking Libby and Della.
Ooh.
Ooh.
In Mina's panic to get her sister and her girlfriend, she is separated from Jared, and eventually the vampire finds Mina and attacks.
Ooh.
He manages to graze Mina's arm before Jared comes in and pries his jaw loose, and they run for it. Outside, Mina and Jared find Libby and Della, who patch up Mina's arm. Suddenly, Nat comes out of the maze holding Sam, who is bleeding heavily from his neck. Nat tells them some guy with fake vampire teeth tore at his throat. The on-site medics arrive quickly, and Sam is taken to the hospital with Nat in the ambulance and Will following in his car. Libby and Tessa call it quits for the night, while Jared, Mina, and Della meet up with Rosario and Taz to go hunting.
Jared has their attackers scent and is able to find them. They fight, and Jared is able to rip out the throat of one vampire and tear the jaw off another, with Della driving a stake through its chest. Vampire. The last vampire is kept restrained because they need answers, like who turned him. That would be John Carter. Damn it.
Oh, man.
He did it a few months ago for Veronica, who is planning something the following night. He says her recruits are to meet at the French Quarter docks at 7 p.m. He says, I almost read it again. Then the vampire taunts Rosario, saying she might as well stake him, as he's as good as dead anyway. So she does. Turning to Jared, she thanks him for his help, noting she always knew they could use a vampire hunter.
And we squeak.
She also orders Della and Mina to rest up for the following night.
After dropping Jared back at the apartment, Mina is surprisingly able to sleep but wakes early. After some exercise and a quick call to Nat to check on Sam, Mina notices Tessa's keys on the doormat. Tessa's room is quiet, so she enters slowly to put the keys in her room. But then Mina sees Tessa on the bed, not moving, and a large pool of blood on the floor. Her shout brings Della and Libby running.
Oh, no. Libby calls an ambulance and the police, and soon after the house is a hive of activity. Cafferty comes with Boudreaux, and they question Mina, Della, and Libby separately. Tessa was stabbed 9 times. But unlike the other murders, Tessa was killed in her bed, not on the doorstep. Mina shows Cafferty and Boudreaux the notes she received and finds out that Tessa received one too. Also, Tessa has a client book for the underground. Unbeknownst to her housemates, Tessa was a vampire lifestyler. Cafferty arranges for a patrolman to take them to Thandy's apartment at the mansion because they can't stay in the house anymore.
Ooh.
Murders.
So many murders. Later, sitting in the mansion apartment's spare room, Mina is restless and calls Cafferty, asking if he will accompany her and Della to the Empire of the Dead to speak to Armand. At the bar, Armand confirms that Veronica was sired by Saint-Germain. Saint-Germain. Saint-Germain?
Saint-Germain.
Saint-Germain. Saint-Germain. Saint-Germain. Can we lay down how we're supposed to say this, or we're just going to say it a million times?
No, we're just going to say it 1,000 different ways, and then when I edit the audio, I'm going to pick a different one every time.
Cool. Vampires typically develop powers if their sire had power, but Saint-Germain, 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 Saint-Germain has none, so he collects them. Though with Veronica, he collected her as she reminded him of his dead daughter. They search through Veronica's locker in the back room for any clue as to her location, but unfortunately there isn't a convenient note. Armand uses her jacket to help force a vision in which he sees a fire and water and Veronica on a steamboat called the Belle of New Orleans. After a call to the Coast Guard, Cafferty is able to find out that there is only one steamboat large enough to meet Veronica's needs in the city, and it has been decommissioned following a hurricane, and it's called The Belle of New Orleans.
Ah!
Isn't it handy having a policeman who can call the Coast Guard and get the answers?
It's so great.
Yay,
Cafferty,
an adult.
yay, a grown-up who's smart and knows what's going on.
With connections.
He's a hero. Cafferty wants to help because New Orleans is his city to protect. Plus, he has a crossbow. Yeah, he can come. They separate so Cafferty can suit up, while Mina and Della gather the Slayers because they want to strike while the sun is still up. Soon, they are on a hired boat traveling the river looking for the Belle of New Orleans. Ooh, I don't like the way I said that. The Belle of New Orleans, which doesn't take long. The Slayers work their way through the steamboat, staking the vampires as they move down through the boat. Finding the boiler room access, Rosario changes the plan to work upwards. As the Slayers file down, Mina notes that Paige hangs back to plant explosives.
Ooh. Rosario didn't know about the Rosario didn't know about the explosives Paige planted and is wary of using them because they need to confirm Veronica's death. So she confiscates the remote. Heading deeper into the boat, the Slayers encounter resistance and a massive and bloody fight starts. Veronica is leading her minions in taunting the Slayers, and in her hand is her trademark mallet, which she uses relentlessly, even taking down Taz.
Oh,
We like
no.
Taz.
We did. Ugh.
Damn it. Take Paige. You volunteer her.
Suddenly, reinforcements come in the form of the veteran Slayers, including Della's aunt Jacqueline and Monique. Monique tries to stake Veronica, but the vampire turns the stake on her and kills the older Slayer.
Ooh.
While Mina makes her first kill, Paige grabs a fire axe and starts rampaging with it, eventually severing Veronica's head, taking her mallet as a trophy, which she promptly drops and Della picks up. Mina, Della, Cafferty, Rosario, Paige, Jacqueline, and a handful of other Slayers make it out into the sunshine, and as they make their getaway, Paige blows the boat. God damn it, Paige! In the truck, Della has her wounds bandaged, and she admits she accidentally consumed some vampire blood while she was trapped under her body.
Womp womp.
It's now a waiting game to see if she'll turn. Ooh.
Cafferty has to head to work, and Rosario is going to scope out the docks for any of Veronica's stragglers, while Mina, Della, and Jacqueline head back to the mansion to wait to see if Della will turn. Libby is obviously worried, but confident Della will remain human. During their vigil, Nat comes by. She has Thandy's fixed dictaphone and needs to talk to Mina about Sam's bite wound and how similar it looks to the scar on Mina's wrist. Mina accepts the dictaphone but pushes Nat away, telling her it's not a good time. Hours later, they check on Della's wound for supernaturally quick healing and find it the same bloody mess as earlier. Phew.
Phew.
Della is in the clear, but we're sad because she could have been another vampire.
She would have been a very good vampire hunter, which is what I was hoping for it the entire time in book one.
Same.
It's fine. At least we have one vampire.
Exactly.
As they are celebrating, Jared comes in with Cafferty. Cafferty has caught Jared up on the events of the day. However, he has one more piece of news. They've arrested Jason for the murders.
What?
What? No, not Candyman. He's not a murderer. I mean,
Candyman would never do that.
I mean,
that way.
Yeah. Is everyone they know a serial killer?
Pretty much.
Cafferty admits that the underground is the connection between the victims, as Tessa was the new Elvira at the club. Jason disapproved and they got into a fight, and they assume he still resents it, and that is why he killed her and all of her clients. They decide to continue the celebrations and head to the mask parade and drag Cafferty along with them. As they're getting ready, Jared grabs a quick snack from Mina, and in their post-bite snuggle, they confess their love for each other.
Now he can
now
bite the
move
thigh.
on. Now move on to the thigh bites.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Do it.
Do
it. Despite being surrounded by strangers and masks, which is disconcerting to Mina, the mask parade is fun. That is until Mina is kidnapped by two vampires in fake police costumes. Damn it, Mina. Mina has her hands tied behind her back and her head bagged before being thrown into the back of a van, which also holds Libby, Della, Jared, Cafferty, and Rosario.
At
But
least
the
she's
bags
not
are
alone.
well, exactly. Kidnapped with friends. It sounds a little bit like a stag do or a hen do or like some kind of like paternity induction thing.
I feel like it's worse than that.
Well, yeah, it's proper kidnapping. When the bags are removed, they see that they are in a cathedral with Armand standing to the side of the altar. Saint Germain walks in and stands front and center. He's an asshole, isn't he?
He really is. He really, really is. Saint Germain. Saint Germain. Saint Germain has a grievance against them. They killed his Lieutenant Veronica, so he must exact a price. However, he concedes that she was also trying to overthrow him, which is not ideal. But really, her punishment should have been left up to him. Really, though? Really? Luckily, he has a contingency plan, and in walks Paige. Fucking Paige. Saint Germain declares that the Slayers will be brought onto his payroll. Rosario, of course, protests, which results in her being dragged off and killed outside. Paige is then promoted to leader of the Slayers and directed to get the Slayers on board with Saint Germain's plans. Saint Germain's plans.
You almost did an Elmo voice there. Saint Germain.
Oh, Saint Germain. Oh, wow. Saint Germain's plans.
Well, if things weren't bad enough already, Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain, Saint Germain. Nobody actually knows how to pronounce that properly,
It's why? It's because there's not an audiobook. Hint.
Hint, hint, hint. Saint Germain is not done yet. He has a job for Cafferty and Armand in New Mexico.
No. Okay.
And when they start to protest, a few threats to their health and happiness bring them in line and they will set off immediately. Meanwhile, the others are free to go. Like, literally, go.
Just get out.
Get out of here.
Done.
Get out of here, pesky kids. Go on, you get out.
You get out of
Get
here.
out.
You
No,
get out
you
of
go. You gotta go.
here.
Before Armand leaves, he tells Jared that John did not sire him. He did. John made him donate his blood into bottles, and it was that blood which turned Jared. This relieves Jared, as he was worried he would become a murderous lunatic like his sire. Oh, dodge that bullet, old Fang.
Mina, Libby, Della, and Jared head back to the mansion and rest for the night. Mina finally tells Libby and Della that Jared has been feeding from her, which, I mean, they already figured since the underground was burned down, and they're begrudgingly fine with it. Waking early the next day, Mina goes into the living room to listen to Thandy's dictaphone, and realizing there will be great revelations, she grabs the others. Mina isn't wrong. Thandy confesses to being the one who killed Della's mother. So why did Emmeline lie to them? Good question.
Good question. The mansion hosts an end of Halloween movie murder mystery night, which I want to go to.
I know, I want to be there.
And it goes off without a hitch, even without Candyman.
No, the best part.
Afterwards, Mina and Libby have the mansion to themselves and try to relax. Unfortunately, as Libby is in the shower, the power goes out. Mina heads to the breaker to switch it back on when the phone in the foyer rings. This isn't creepy at all.
No,
We've all
no.
seen this horror movie, Mina.
Pitch black phone ringing.
No.
Not good.
Mina answers it in the dark, and he is Detective Baudreau on the other line. She tells Mina that Jason has been released, and she'll be sending a patrolman to watch over them to be safe. It's not long before Officer Dupress arrives, but he is promptly murdered by the masked killer on the doorstep behind him. Womp womp. As the killer gives a jaunty little wave with the knife, Mina turns toward the exhibit rooms and runs.
I'm
Hey,
really getting
hi.
Scream vibes from all of this, and it was
Oh,
perfect.
completely.
It
There's
was
total Drew
perfect.
Barrymore moments.
Yes. The killer gives chase, and Mina dives into the Candyman bathroom. As she is closing the door, the killer sticks his knife into the gap and slices her arm, but thankfully, she manages to shut and lock the door. As Mina is figuring out what to do next, the cruel voice of the killer encouraging her to open the door sounds familiar.
Ooh.
It's Sam?
Dear sweet Sam.
His knife has had a taste of her and wants more. Sam tells Mina that his late older sister Louisa was the original Elvira at the underground, and that he blames the club and her clients for her death. Now he is exacting his revenge by killing the people on Louisa's client list, as well as Tessa, who took her role, which made everyone forget his sister.
Damn. Dear sweet silent bookish Sam.
Ugh. Murderer!
It's always the quiet ones.
Always the quiet ones.
Mina makes her way through the scene, grabbing the Candyman's very real and very sharp hook as she heads into the Nightmare on Elm Street scene. Behind her, Sam has broken through the door. Hiding in the darkness and fog, Mina is able to use the hook to rip open Sam's leg, hobbling him so she can make a run for it. Dashing into the mansion foyer, she grabs the phone, calls 911, screams there's a killer after her, and runs toward the New Orleans exhibits room. Looking around, Mina spots an item not yet put in the case. Veronica's mallet.
Yes.
As Sam walks towards her, Libby steps out of the apartment, and without stopping, Sam stabs her in the stomach.
Oh.
Mina watches in horror as her sister crumples, covered in her own blood.
Oh.
Sam comes closer, and as he reaches the perfect spot, Mina swings the mallet and breaks the ropes that hold the bear trap chandelier, causing it to fall and kill Sam. The chandelier!
The murder chandelier!
It's another Chekhov chandelier! Yay!
Please see the latest Jackson Ford episode for more details about being
And
murdered by a
interview.
chandelier.
And interview.
Yes. As Mina is crying and holding a dying Libby, Jared comes in. He offers to turn Libby as the wound is fatal, but she doesn't want that. He tries his best to stop the bleeding, his supernatural nature never dulling his desire to help people. Libby starts convulsing, then suddenly sits up, indignant that she was bleeding from her mouth and Mina never said. That's embarrassing, really. All at once, she's okay, and her wound is closing. But how? Turns out, Jared has a power after all. He can heal people. Well, they can't let Saint Germain know about that. Saint Germain. Saint Germain. Saint Germain. Saint Germain just got really high up there. Blocked nose. Saint Germain. Healing Libby has weakened Jared, but he's happy he can still help people. Detective Boudreaux and the police arrive shortly thereafter, but Mina is worried about Nat and Will. After all, she just killed their little brother. Never mind that it was in self-defense with a chandelier. Boudreaux tells Mina that Nat has been arrested as an accessory to murder, and she's refusing to talk unless it's to Mina.
Everyone knows a serial killer.
Yes.
The next day, before Mina heads to the police station, she goes to find friends. Emmeline has already spoken to Della, and she reiterates that she knew Thandi was Della's real. Emmeline has already spoken to Della, and she reiterates that she knew Thandi was Della's mother's real killer, but she needed Veronica dead for killing her best friend.
Okay, reasonable.
Emmeline wants to rebuild trust and gives Mina a look-alike leather Buffy the Vampire Slayer jacket she was lusting after on a previous visit.
I can get with that.
Bribery.
Yeah, it's bribery.
I'll accept bribery though. I'll freely admit I accept bribery.
Yeah, I can get with what is happening. I cannot, however, get with that my glasses keep falling off my face.
Glasses. For once, I haven't got them on my face.
I know. Mine are just slipping down. Because you know what? They don't have a nose piece. Look how crooked they are. What is happening?
Oh, have you drank too much high percentage blood?
I give up. Look how crooked they are. Okay.
You just gotta sit at an angle and then they'll be like, perfect.
At the police station, Mina has her backpack searched. Thandi's papers and her dictaphone are inside, and thankfully the officer gives them a cursory look. Nat is in an orange jumpsuit and handcuffed to the interview table. Nat explains she needed to find Luis's killer since the police gave up. She found Elvira's client list in her sister's diary and tried to get into the underground but was turned away. She was the one who sent the notes, too, trying to get some sort of reaction from Elvira's clients. She didn't want to hurt anyone, but Sam found out what she was doing and wanted vengeance, so he killed everyone. At this point of the interview, Mina turns off the recorder, ready to be candid with Nat. However, this is the opportunity Nat needed to give Mina the truth. Sam was in the hospital when Tessa was murdered. She tells Mina the first stab did the trick, but the remaining 8 got easier with each strike. Smugly, Nat calls an end to the interview, waggling her fingers in goodbye. Bye, I just confessed murder to you, but you turned off the recorder.
Wah, wah. In Boudreaux's office, Nat realizes that Nat's confession.
Nope, that's not a thing.
In Boudreaux's office, Mina realizes that Nat's confession to murdering Tessa means nothing, as the recorder had been shut off. In the silence between Mina and the detective, Boudreaux asks what the clicking noise is she can hear. Inside Mina's backpack, Thandi's dictaphone has been recording.
Oh.
It must have been set to record during the bag search, and she's had her bag with her the whole time, which means that Nat's confession is on that tape.
That is fantastic.
Mina hands the dictaphone over to Boudreaux, who takes it to their tech guys. While the detective is out of the office, Mina looks at a picture on her desk. It's of Boudreaux and her sister Monique, the veteran slayer who was killed during the steamboat raid.
Oh no.
Just yesterday as well.
It just happened.
Yeah. Boudreaux comes back and confirms that she knows all about the supernatural side to New Orleans. So Mina tells her Cafferty does too.
Look at my glasses.
Oh my gosh. This is why we can't go anywhere nice.
try to fix them. They just kept getting
Screen grab.
Back at the mansion, Will is waiting outside, looking broken, what with two of his siblings being murderers and the other being murdered. Mina invites him in for John Hughes movies, and they sit in companionable silence until Libby and Della come home. Libby grabs snacks and they watch movies as a foursome. As Will is leaving, Jared arrives. Extending a vein of trust, Della volunteers to feed Jared since Mina has lost so much blood lately. Eventually, Jared goes back to his apartment to clear his things out. He's going to move into the mansion's attic, while Libby and Mina will be permanent residents of the mansion apartment, and Della will split her time between them and her dad.
The next morning, a postcard arrives from New Mexico, but it can't be Cafferty and Armand. It's not their style.
Literally, they just left.
Yeah. The girls think that their paternal grandparents live somewhere near Roswell, but they've got no connection to them. Turning over the card, in their mother's handwriting, the note reads, "I found your dad and figured out how to make us one big, happy family again. Come to visit us, Mum. Kiss."
Yikes.
You know what this means?
There's another one!
Road trip!
Yes. That's fantastic. So good. So after our pause in which I tried to fix my glasses and you got to hear an ad from another show, what are your standout moments?
Page 296.
That's our page. That is
That is
our
our
page.
page. That's our page. If there was ever a number we're claiming, it's page 296.
296 is it. Vampire Hunter. That's us.
It has to be us. It has to be. And we haven't spoken to Amy yet.
No, it's coming.
But we are. It will happen. It's happening soon. And if she does not confirm that page 296 is us, well, I'm sorry, canonically, I'm taking it. We're taking it. It's ours.
Us. It's us. It's ours. See
Yes.
previous Mina episode.
We have the evidence.
We do. Except for we don't because that video got messed up. But we have the audio evidence.
Exactly. We still have the audio evidence. The evidence is there. And I'm sure the header for Mina and the Undead was Vampire Slayers. And then the whole obsession with Vampire Slayers started because of Mina and the Undead.
It did, but Vampire Hunters, not Slayers.
Yes.
You make sure you get it right.
Vampire.
Yeah. So what
yes,
else?
page 296.
296.
Favorite character?
Yes, just move on. That's all we need to discuss.
That's all we need to say. Chekhov's murder chandelier again, which we raised this with Jackson Ford when it was a chandelier doing the killing.
Yes.
And then as soon as the bear trap chandelier got mentioned in Mina and the Slayers, I was like, please.
Please let there be a chandelier murder.
And then there was a chandelier murder, and I'm surprised you didn't hear me go, yes. But I did message. I read this book before you did.
You did.
I remember sending you 2 messages. The first one was
page 296.
Page 296, and also I think I was just literally just saying Chekhov's murder chandelier.
Yes.
Or bear trap chandelier, and you were like, I'm starting it tonight.
Murder chandelier. That's so perfect. I love that we have read 2 books this year with chandelier murders. How is that even possible?
Exactly. What's the odds of that?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I love it. I love it so much. I need more people to be murdered by chandelier.
Yeah.
And this one was a bear traps.
Yeah. So that's fucking awful.
And wonderful.
Yes, of course. Oh,
Are they real? Nah, it's fine. Libby, you're standing in the middle of a bunch of bear traps. This is going to turn into some kind of Wile E. Coyote cartoon if you're not
yes.
careful.
Um, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
Obviously, this is set up perfectly for third book road trip.
Yes.
Do you think it's going to be the end?
That's an excellent question. It might be the end of an arc,
Okay.
but I think there's more story to tell.
I feel like this is just one that has potential to be never ending. Also, like Jackson Ford's books, they can just go on for forever. There's not necessarily one thing, although it is their mother is leading the whole thing. That's the whole reason why they got involved in all of this stuff to begin with. But there's other stuff going on, and it can last forever, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, and I'm happy for it too. But I think to answer your question, I think it's the I like a trilogy. We like a trilogy as well. I mean, we like our standalones, we like our duologies, but we do like a trilogy as well.
And you know what?
And
It
you
almost
know
just
what? We like
seems like
series
we
of
like
12 books.
books.
Yeah. 13
13,
books. Yeah, let's
12,
read
it's
them. It's
fine.
fine. 26, we're on it.
6 with
No,
another 6 spin-off? Of course.
yeah, we can do that. Okay, so in all seriousness, a trilogy is nice and tight. You've got a good storyline, and I think if Amy used to do one more book, which you should be doing one more book, and it's set in New Mexico, and it centers more around their mom
Uh-huh.
and bringing their dad, who is, also was a crappy parent and left them. And we meet his parents who live in Roswell. Um, Curious about them.
Yes.
I think it would be a nice end to an arc, a
Yes.
nice little tight trilogy of, the mom's in the background. Let's finally find out what the hell's going on with her.
Right.
Um, but then it leads on to being able to do another series of Mina's.
Yeah, and that would be great. So she could potentially wrap everything up nicely and then, start working on something else, which we would also happily read and invite her on the show to talk
I would not be opposed to the lead character changing for Mina as well. Uh,
about. Ooh,
Della and the trilogy.
yes, we could. We could have a
Libby and
Della.
the trilogy. Will,
Yes.
I would like to have his
Cafferty.
own series.
Cafferty
Cafferty.
is what I want.
I would love that, but Cafferty's not really going to be a YA book, so it depends if Amy wants to expand into older ranges, because I get serious Daddy Winchester vibes
Yeah.
from Cafferty. I mean, the Impala and the sexy look
I
and
know.
the crossbow
I know.
go a long way to that. So, hello.
I mean, I don't necessarily think he has to be John Winchester. He could be a Sam or a Dean easily.
Oh God, yes, but I mean, it's purely because it's set in the 90s is why I'm getting Daddy Winchester
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah.
If it was a little bit later on, I would say it was a Sam or Dean, but I would love a Cafferty trilogy as well. So honestly, I could see, you can see it on Blockbuster shelves, the Mina trilogy, the Cafferty
Yes.
trilogy, the Della
Yes.
trilogy.
Yes.
And we said in the first one, as much as we love Libby and Della, they don't necessarily have long term written over them, especially if
Yeah.
Della pursues the slave career that Libby can't really support her properly in, or relationships go in other directions.
Yeah. It,
And
it would be okay for them to break up.
yeah, stay friends, kind of amicable.
Sure.
But I would like that. It could even be that it's not necessarily a breakup. It could be that there is a vampire outbreak somewhere else in the US or in Europe, and the Slayers need to help. Well,
Yeah.
Paige can't go, and Paige Saint Germain won't let Paige and her Slayers help, and they contact Jacqueline, And Jacqueline
Mm.
asks her niece to go to Europe or
Mm-hmm.
wherever to help out with their vampire surge.
Could be
So then
great.
we could follow Della, have her little trilogy. And, she's still in a relationship with Libby and them, but we've got Della leading a new bunch.
Yeah.
And we've got it purely from a Slayer perspective. I would love that.
Yeah, that could be great. That could really be great.
So yeah, that's what I can see. Like all the cassette tapes, all the VHS lined up, all these trilogies.
Can we also have a prequel trilogy with Thandi? Because I loved Thandi still being in this book, even though she's been murdered, with her dictaphone and her letters. I want more Thandi.
Yes.
So we have a prequel with Thandi as well.
Yes, we need that. We need that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be great.
Can I ask you a question then?
Yes.
Why did Emmeline lie about Veronica killing Stella's mom? The girls were already going after Veronica because she'd killed Thandi. They didn't need any additional motivation. I don't understand why. She could have just said, I don't know who the murderer was. Emmeline volunteered the information, said, I know who killed your mom. It wasn't a, do you know who killed my mom? And I don't understand that. Do you have any?
No, unless it was just giving, like, unless it was also giving Della that motivation, because Della wasn't as closely tied to Thandi as Mina and Libby were, especially Libby, because Libby's been at the mansion the longest. But unless it was just to give Della that motivation as well, just to, like, yeah, it's backup plan. It's a double check because we definitely need Veronica out of this. That's the only thing I've got.
Yeah. It seemed a bit odd to me.
It did. But it doesn't matter because Veronica's dead. And
Bye, bitch.
and Mina got a sweet jacket out of the deal.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's fine.
Wish I could get sweet jackets out of the deal.
I know. Me too. I can't get over how much I love, 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 1,000 times love the mansion and all of the rooms. And I really just want to be there. But all of this detail about the Candyman room, I feel like we also had an influence with that because of how much we talked about that we loved Candyman.
Yes.
I feel like we influenced the Candyman room as well.
Well, again, if it's not true, we're making it true.
It is, yeah, that's fine.
Highly recommend the new Candyman as well. That was excellent.
Yes.
Say new, but it's a couple of years old now, but
yeah, but it was great.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I just love Candyman.
You do. You always have. It is a known fact.
It is known. It is known. If we weren't dressing up today as Dracula and Lestat, I would have worn my Candyman shirt. Because I have a Candyman shirt. I would have worn it. Do you know what's my favorite thing that I've just discovered? If I sit properly, it looks like I have crazy eyes with the reflection from my ring light.
Screen grabbed.
I wonder how many times it lined up perfectly while we were recording too. Can I just sit like this the rest of the time?
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna sit like this.
But we also have to continue to have a regular, normal conversation just like this.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah, it's fine.
I liked how gruesome it was in this book, by the way.
Yes.
Jared, when he was doing his vampire hunter, the way he ripped out the throats and broke necks and took no prisoners was fantastic.
It was amazing. I thought that, I mean, obviously it was done this way on purpose to make you think, oh shit, he's turning into John. John's influence is coming out in him and he is going on a rampage. But
Yeah.
no, he's just a badass. Just badass vampire hunter. And all of our dreams come true.
Ooh, do you know what I didn't like, but I loved at the same time? And seems to be the tone of this year as well. Fucking clowns.
I
That
loved it.
clown
I loved
museum
it.
was horrible. I loved it. I loved it. But I hated it. I was listening to Clown in the Cornfield 2 as I was reading Mina. I mean, obviously not exactly the same time.
Right.
One was my audiobook going, the other one was the book I was reading.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, clowns. And I think it was last weekend I sent pictures of this disgusting amount of clowns in the thrift store
Mm-hmm.
that was on sale.
Yeah.
Obviously, all cursed. But
Obviously.
honestly, everywhere. I know Halloween is a big clown period, but
But
I feel like I've
there's other
encountered
things.
there's other things exactly. And I feel like this year there's just been an absolute abundance of freaking clowns, which I don't appreciate.
I do appreciate that. And I loved they were just like quietly sneaking through this nightmare and everything's going fine and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we got some information and now we can just sneak out. Fuck. And then all the vampires swarm down on them. But they're like lazy high dude bros. Like, oh no, I gotta get down these stairs, man, and get after these clown honkers. And it was great. It was perfect. It was great. Are you having internet issues? You must be because you're perfectly still. She's perfectly still, everyone. Bad things are happening.
Okay, you disappeared.
So did you. Bad things are happening, everyone. It's fine. We'll catch back up eventually.
You invoked the curse of the clowns.
I think it was you who invoked the curse of the clowns.
Damn it. Maybe the ghosts followed me home last night.
Could be. Could
Damn
be.
it. We're back. It's fine.
We're back. Everything's cool. One more thing that I really, really liked.
Mm.
Then we can talk about other things. I loved Sam's murder chase through the mansion because it was definitely Scream.
Super creepy.
Especially with the blade behind the door. Like it was just straight out of Scream and it was amazing. You can't tell me that he was not inspired. Except for oh no.
When you
Scream
thinking
came
when did
second.
Scream come?
I think Scream was 1996 or 7. So Scream was inspired by Sam behind the door. 1000%. But I really loved it. And the I Know What You Did Last Summer notes all over the place.
Yeah, it was 1996 Scream.
Yeah. So I also loved the I Know What You Did Last Summer notes left all over the place. That was great.
Yes, I enjoyed that. I particularly liked the way that Sam's knife had a taste of Mina and wanted more.
Yes. Ooh.
Did you figure out that it was Sam like at all?
No.
That because I mean I'm leaping a little bit ahead while we're talking about it, but my surprise was Sam being the killer. It was like a proper moment. I didn't see clues or the setup for that.
You know what?
Apart from saying it's the quiet ones.
Some people are just crazy fucking murderers. And what are you going to do about it?
No. I can totally get with that.
Yeah. Fine. I feel like I was going to say something else. Also, like, he was around a lot of the time while they were talking about stuff. Just like quietly reading in the background. Quietly reading R.L. Stine in the back seat. He's scheming. He was scheming the whole time. I feel like he was a child, though. Like, in my head, he's like 7, which I know is not true.
I can't remember the age he was. But if
I mean,
Mina,
Mina's 18,
yeah, Mina and Nat at 18. So what? He was probably 16
probably.
because Will was outside the school and to pick up Nat, and she's like, no, go and harass Sam instead.
Yeah,
And I think Sam was pretty much in the same building. So I would have
probably.
said they were they were both in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, but now I was thinking, well, what scenes can I remember Sam being in? And yeah, he was at the carnival. That's when he got bit. He was in the car. Did he go to the theatre with them?
I think that he did. I felt like
And
they were all there together.
yeah, and there's the bookstore. But I'm the, it was just such a quiet character. And Mina kept saying, if Sam was there, oh, I feel very akin to Sam, just a quiet person reading horror books.
Yeah. So maybe that means that Mina's gonna snap soon and start killing everybody, which I would
Well,
also be okay with.
she's either going to snap and start killing everybody, or she's going to go on a rip-roaring revenge, justice, I'm Batman type
Yeah.
thing.
She's gonna Quinn from Clown in a Cornfield too. She's gonna shave her head and go on a murder spree, which it's
With her
fine.
list. Hey, remember, we already decided some bitches have got to be slapped.
Right.
In this
Yes.
case, some vampires have got to be staked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a very can we discuss the morally grey area of the code?
Yeah.
Because the Slayers, right? Let's do some setup. Thandi was reclusive.
Yeah.
Because of several reasons. John Carter being the big one, fine.
Yes.
Saint-Germain, or however you want to pronounce him,
Correct.
being another big, collector of powerful things.
Yes.
And
he is Arrow from Twilight.
Yes.
He is the leader of the New Orleans Volturi.
Yes, and he's obviously going to be a big part of the next one as well.
Of course.
But also she was scared of the Slayers. And we know in part it's because she got caught feeding and she killed Della's mom. Yeah. But even before that, I get the feeling that Thandi was very scared of what was going on to the point of becoming a recluse.
I honestly just think that was her personality anyway. She doesn't want to get out and be around people. I really think that's her personality already.
Yeah.
And then being accidentally killing a Slayer and then being on their radar just made it worse. And then John and then Saint-Germain they've just made everything worse. And so why would you leave your beautiful, horrible mansion where you can make bank scaring people with your vampire powers?
That is very true. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But in regards to the Slayers and them, for me, very morally grey code of, well, if they're attacking me, then I'll slay them. But it gets to the point of, well, what provoked that attack?
Yeah, are they attacking you because you're a Slayer and you're clown honking through their creepy museum?
Yeah. Are you walking down an alleyway, Buffy style, with the stake out, going, "Hey, vampy, vampy, vampy," ready to just attack?
Yeah.
And how many vampires have been slayed during consensual biting? That the assumption is the human doesn't want it. It's like, we're doing this. Hello, we're from the surveys, the Slayer surveys. Is this biting consensual? Yes, tick. Okay, we'll leave you. Go to the next one. Is this biting consensual? No. Right, we'll sit. Well, it's so. At least with Buffy, the vampires are all bad.
Yeah.
With this one, you've got examples of Thandi, of Jared, of Armand, where vampires aren't bad, aren't the conventional villain.
Right.
So I can understand why Jared is very skeptical of Mina joining the ranks. Because you can't guarantee that the vampire you're slaying is a bad vampire. It's not obvious Veronica who's walking around with a Harlequin mallet.
Yeah. And like, how many of these vampires were turned against their will as well? Which then does it turn into like a pity slaying? Like, well, you didn't want to be a vampire anyway, so I'm just going to kill you and put you out of your misery.
Yeah.
Because then that would definitely put Jared on the radar.
Yeah. There's a lot of them have been turned recently because of the surge, because of, John Carter's done it, or Veronica's done it, and
Yeah.
overthrow Saint Germain. And they've been abandoned by the sires. So
Yeah.
they don't know the
It's
ins
just
and the outs, the wheres and what
it's
fors.
just a wild vampire rampage.
Yeah.
Vampirage.
Yeah. And do you know the vampire that Mina saved, Fiona, who ends up working at Armand's Dante restaurant?
Yeah, what about her?
Like, does she realize that Mina, like, not 5 minutes earlier, was trying to kill one of her friends? That's
No.
awkward.
I'm really glad that Mina is becoming a part of this because I think she understands that there are differences and she wants to keep the vampires alive, while some of the other slayers do not necessarily believe that way. And
No,
they're just
Paige
out
is
there.
definitely kill.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing that she's a part of this now because she can be like, we actually don't need to kill that vampire. They're
She's
fine.
injecting conscience into the slayings.
She is.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Do we need
Was
to
there
talk?
anything else?
I was just going to ask you if we need to talk about our favorite characters because mine is Cafferty. And if you don't say that Cafferty is one of your favorites, you're wrong.
I have three.
Okay.
Cafferty, Dear Sweet Will, and Rosario, R.I.P.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked her positive saying outlook. Dear
Yes.
Sweet Will, who felt like he was being set up as a potential love interest to Mina
Yes.
slash threat to Jared. But
Yes.
honestly, I just got friend vibe
Oh,
from him
totally.
because shock horror, girls and boys, and everybody in between on the full spectrum of identity can be friends with each other
No
without
way.
romance.
No
I know it's
way.
radical. I know it's radical. But yeah, you can be friends with people and have no romantic entanglement.
No, that can't be real. I really love that he did his arm at the end. Like
John Hughes
he
fist
is
bump.
a John Hughes character 1000%. And it was fantastic. Just walking away with his fist in the air. I loved it.
What was God, Stranger Things. The one who died and
Eddie?
no, not Eddie. Brother, brain's not working. As she quickly goes onto Google. Billy.
Oh God, I love Billy.
I got to see Will, his aesthetic, and not his toxic masculinity, reminded me like if you could take Billy, remove the toxic masculinity and his affair with the older women
Yes.
out, that's kind of like the aesthetic I was getting for Will.
Okay. I can
Like the
see that.
self-assured, little bit of a ladies' man, but more of a movie geek
Yeah, he's just a nerd.
vibe.
He's just a
Yeah.
handsome, sexy nerd.
Yes, he's a nerd in disguise.
Yes. I'm fine with that.
So yeah, take a bit of the Billy, and that at least the aesthetics wise, like physically,
Yeah.
that was certainly the who I would fan cast as in the
Fangcast.
movie. Fang cast in the
Fangcast.
movie. Yes.
Really, really. had a non-sexual book crush on Cafferty.
I adored Cafferty. Absolutely adored him. And all the way through, I was like, tell him, tell him,
Tell
tell.
him,
Oh, thank
tell him
goodness.
the truth. Yes. Oh, and that was so great that there was communication. Now, granted, Mina didn't tell people everything immediately when it happened, but she did get around to telling everyone the truth about everything that was going on around them, which was
Apart from
good.
Nat,
Apart from that,
and
but
look what happened there.
murder.
Murder,
Chandelier
murder,
murder.
murder. Yeah, Nat was a nasty piece of work. Who's worse, Nat or Sam?
I mean, they're both murderers.
Well, they're both murderers, they're both awful people, but Nat definitely hid it more. Sam was just behind a book all the time
Yeah.
and wasn't in as much. But it really actually annoyed us that Mina was pushing that away, constantly pushing that away and not giving her, she was saying, oh, she's my best friend. This is so good. We bonded over horror movies and it's wonderful. And it's like, but you're constantly pushing her away. Or you only ever hang around with her when it's Libby and Della and Jared and Nat's siblings are also there as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you like just be friends with the person?
No. We're gonna push
So I
them
did
out of the
think
door.
Mina tracked Nat a little crappy.
She did.
However, Nat was stalking and helping kill people.
Right.
So
So,
yeah.
do you have any other surprises? Minus Sam being the murderer.
I think that was pretty much it for me.
I was surprised, not really surprised because we knew it was going to happen. Kind of. We knew that Jared was going to get a power, but I was pleased that he has a healing power. I think that's amazing because that, like, he wanted to be a nurse. That's all he wanted. And then he got turned into a vampire and he's like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Can't do that now. But he he's a healer. And that's fantastic. I was really happy for him.
Yeah, that was nice. That was really nice.
Yeah.
I just hope they can keep it quiet. Not
Yeah.
gonna.
Not gonna.
Not gonna.
And you know what, where's the balance? Is he just gonna go around healing everyone? Is he gonna be like Lissa in Vampire Academy, going around healing people until she goes bonkers? Is he gonna be able to heal vampires at the end? He's gonna cure the Strigoi at the end, and then he's gonna start dream walking, seeing auras.
The ultimate crossover.
Yes, I'd be okay with that too. He's just gonna show up at St. Vladimir's. That's the last page of the last book.
It's the last episode of the TV show.
I'd be okay with that. Just put all of our favorite vampires into one big pile. It's perfect.
Oh.
Do you think we should move on to Would You Rather?
Definitely, it's time. We have questions that need answers.
Oh, we do. We do have questions. Insert Would You Rather here. All right. That's the end of that. And it was amazing. Favorite final thought quote? Just move on. Just move on past it and we'll survive. Just move on.
Oh, there were so many. So, like, literally, the first paragraph was amazeballs.
Yes.
So I think just right. Okay, I'm just gonna give a few.
I mean, you can't just read the whole book out. You have to narrow it down.
Fine. There were ways of living forever if you were prepared to drink blood like a cursed thing. Okay. Thanks a lot for inviting me here to ruin a perfectly good pair of underwear.
I had that one too. It was so good. That was a great one.
Oh, dear me. I bruised my butt. Oh, dear me. I watch horror movies. I'm not splitting up crap, especially in this creep fest. When is anybody going to learn from horror movies? Go on, I'll give you one more.
Okay.
Not all monsters had fangs.
Ooh.
This one does. What have you got?
Mine are very much sillier than your selections were.
Oh, I could give you a million more if you wanted.
No, it's fine. Wait, so we're on a stakeout? Wah, wah. Does anyone else think he smells like cigarettes and danger? Followed shortly thereafter by, what does danger smell like? He no longer looked like Zach Morris, unless Saved by the Bell went in a bold new direction. So good. Fantastic. Just, it was so full of 90s references, which we did not mention a lot, but it was just all 90s all the time. There was a perfect like soundtrack happening because every time a song was playing in the background, it was mentioned. And it was so
Oh,
good.
it was.
It was so good.
I need to go back and just make
Just-
that playlist.
Yes, just write down every title and put it in a playlist. It would be great.
Do you have the page 292 quote?
296. I do.
296, sorry.
I do have that one.
Please. The floor is yours.
I always said we needed a vampire hunter. And then we squee. It's perfect. It's so
I
perfect.
have Scully Joe videos that says when Mina and the Slayers was released, oh my god, vampire hunter. We have the precedent set.
Yes. It is there.
Trademarked hashtag TM.
Vampire. I need to make that a shirt and put it in the shop. And that's all it says is vampire hunter. And that's all it is. And it's just text on the shirt. And then we can have them. And it'll be amazing.
Yes. With the Fiction Hangover logo, of course.
All right. If you liked this, try this. What are you going to suggest?
Of course, I am going to recommend In Every Generation by Kendara Blake.
Oh, God, Kendara Blake.
Course. So much. And highlight the fact that the second book, One Girl in All the World, is expected in January 2023.
That's so soon. Yes. I can't wait.
Get your pre-orders in now, people.
I can't wait.
You can either listen to me now or go back and listen to the episode where we discuss this with Kendara Blake and her interview, because she is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being.
Yes.
But the summary from Goodreads. Frankie Rosenberg is passionate about the environment, a sophomore at New Sunnydale High School, and the daughter of the most powerful witch in Sunnydale history. Her mom, Willow, is slowly teaching her magic on the condition that she use it to better the world. But Frankie's happily quiet life is upended when new girl Haley shows up with news that the annual Slayer convention has been the target of an attack, and all the Slayers, including Buffy, Faith, and Haley's older sister Vi, might be dead. No. That means it's time for this generation's Slayer to be born. But being the first ever Slayer witch means learning how to wield a stick while trying to control her budding powers. With the help of Haley, a werewolf named Jake, and a hot but nerdy sage demon, Frankie must become the Slayer, preventing the Hellmouth from opening again, and find out what happened to her aunt Buffy before she's dead.
Oh, such a good book.
It was so good. I can't wait for the second one.
I know.
What have you got?
Okay. I had to share this one because it was mentioned in the text, at least halfway a little bit. The Awakening, Vampire Diaries, Book 1 by L.J. Smith. Even though Stefan was incorrectly mentioned and not Damon being the best vampire of all times on that.
Well, there was a
That's
debate that
reason.
took place.
This is a great time that we need to ask everyone, Stefan or Damon?
Damon.
Damon. 1,000 times Damon.
Damon.
Okay.
Damon.
Excuse me.
The question is Stefan or Damon, and why have you picked Damon?
Exactly. Exactly so. All right. A love triangle of unspeakable horror. Elena, searching for the ultimate thrill, she vowed to save Stefan. Stefan, haunted by his tragic past, he struggled to resist her passion. Damon, driven by revenge, he hunted the brother who betrayed him. The terrifying story of two vampire brothers and a beautiful girl torn between them.
Never read the books, just watched the
Me
TV
neither.
show.
And honestly, I've heard that they're not as great as the show, which, I mean, Ian Somerhalder just being there.
Exactly. If you don't have his piercing, penetrating eyes, have you really got a good? Yeah.
No.
Do we have a spotlight this week?
We do. We do have a new and indie spotlight this week, and this one has a couple of tenuous links.
We love a tenuous link.
We do.
Known fact. We love a vampire hunter, and we love a tenuous link.
Yes, yes. All right. This one is called Camp Kinross by Holly Louise Perry. First tenuous link. It's the 1990s. Best friends Maggie and Tom have been sent to summer camp for the first time, despite being almost too old for it. They are immediately immersed into a picturesque world straight out of the movies. Filled with competitive social circles, weird traditions, and classic camp activities, but also a dark past. And then there are the Lifers, a tight-knit group of campers who have been chosen to stay at Camp Kinross for the entire summer. When kids are mysteriously sent home for breaking the rules, without much explanation, Maggie must uncover the truth about the camp, while also navigating fraying friendships, new crushes, youthful schemes, and the typical anxieties that rattle around in the teenage brain. In doing so, she learns that hidden abilities can often be buried deep. And that trusting others doesn't always result in getting burned. Are campers really being sent home, or is a more sinister evil at work at the seemingly perfect Camp Kinross? Will Maggie and Tom become lifers to buy more time to figure out what's happening? Can they expose the truth before it's too late?
Ooh.
Doesn't that sound like fun?
Ooh, that does. Yeah. Ooh.
And don't we have like a summer camp theme coming up next year, or a road trip theme, or something where this
We
would
do
fit
have
in?
a road trip. We have spitballed a road trip, and we spitballed boarding school.
I feel like we halfway talked about summer camp as well. We'll just see. We'll see what happens next year.
We've got a list. It has things on it.
We've got time.
There's probably more than we need on there as well.
There always is more than we need. We can't stop coming up with themes.
It's because we're such creative individuals.
We really are. I'm really surprised that we've kept up all of these themes after all this time.
It'll be our 4th year of themes.
Yes, it will be. Can you believe?
No repetition. No repetition either.
Can you believe that this is the first episode of season 5? of the show.
Insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane. We are starting our 5th/4th year of podcasting. It's insane. And they just keep getting better.
They just keep coming. They won't stop,
They
Amanda.
won't
They won't stop.
They won't stop. They won't stop. I love it. And I'm glad that you're here with me.
Me too. I ridiculously enjoy doing it. It's so much fun. And if you'd like to join in the fun with us, head to our Patreon.
That's perfect.
It's been a while since I've done that.
That's true. Oh my God. Okay. That's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Don't forget to check out our bonus episode attached to this one where we talk to Amy McCall about this fantastic book. Everyone go and listen to that too right now. Join us next time as we continue to discuss all vampires all the time, our monthly theme with Go Hunt Me by Kelly DeVos. Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club and monthly challenges on Facebook. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover themed merchandise and become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
With vampires.
With vampires. All vampires all the time.